Sounds sweet. So yeah, welcome to another video on the R6. I didn't expect to be making another video on this one. There's another topic to go over whilst riding this bike, I think. And that is the R6 versus the GSXR. Probably one of the closest to 600 comparisons that you're gonna hear a lot. It's gonna get asked a lot, which should I buy? Or why should I buy the R6? Or why should I buy the GSXR? And I'll tell you a few things of what I think. Having owned a GSXR 600 K6, this is a 2007 R6, and they're two very different bikes. So I thought I'd tell you guys a few pros and cons to each one, and which one I'd buy if I were you. So in terms of looks, I think they're equal. I prefer the rear of the bike on the GSXR with the two wing kind of bits, as I like to call them, on the back. But I prefer the front and the side probably, and the all-round profile of the R6. So it looks as personal preference, right? But I like this. It's in blue. It's a smart looking bike, especially if you've got a different exhaust on it. It's an incredible looking bike. Can't fault that at all. So the looks, they're pretty much on par. Brakes, R6 wins that, hands down. But then my GSXR never was great on the brakes. It was always a bit, I'm still getting used to the clutch. Whoop. Yeah, my GSXR brakes, on the other hand, were never as good as this R6. This wins that category hands down. The brakes are better on the R6. They're just sharper. They just seem to have a more initial bite. And I think that sums up the R6 quite a lot. Sharper. It is a little sharper in a lot of ways. You'll probably hear me say that a few times. So brakes, I think the R6 are better. In terms of seat height, I prefer the GSXR and the comfort of the GSXR any day of the week. I think if you're someone who wants to go to work on it, turn around on it, but do the odd bit of fast riding and that, the GSXR is probably going to be better for you, because I think the seat is comfier. This seat is harder on the R6, and the position of the R6 is more upright and perched over the front wheel, a bit more racy. GSXR, you sit down and in the bike a little bit more, so it's a little bit comfier. So I think comfort, GSXR has got that. And also on the R6 I get a little bit of wrist ache. I think that's because you're a bit more upright over the front of the bike. Suspension, they're on par. Can't really tell much different. I think they're just a totally different bike, so we can't really compare that. Power's obviously going to be one of the biggest things that's always going to be argued. Some people who've got a GSXR is going to go, oh, GSXR is faster. People who've got an R6 probably going, oh, R6 is faster. To be honest with you, they're so different, you can't tell from a piece of paper. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. I mean, well, I'll tell you from a fact, I've raced this bike on my GSXR and we were neck and neck. So I don't think you can say the R6 is faster, I don't think you can say the GSXR is faster, but as you're changing gear they overtake each other. The R6 has got a lot more power when it gets going with its revs, and the GSXR has got more power initially. It's got more mid-range, low and mid-range. The R6 has got more power in the higher RPMs. When it hits its power band, it's a little bit more vicious the way it lays the power down. So neither are really slower or faster, it just depends how you ride it and how you like to ride it. This has got more power on a piece of paper. The R6 has got 133 brake horsepower. The GSXR's got what, 115? So on a bit of paper this wins, but riding it I don't really know. I don't think either are really hands down over the other. On a track, this brings me to a slightly different side of this. On a track, I think this is the faster bike, but you need to know how to ride it. It wants you to hang off the side. It is a very track orientated bike, and I think it is the faster bike on a track. So if you're a rider who does either a lot of fast road and or track riding, I'd probably go for the R6. If you're someone who takes it to work, bit of pleasure riding, bit of fast road, or even the odd track day, I'd probably look at the GSXR. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I know it's not a very long video, but it's something that I see on forums a lot debated, and I kind of want to have my sort of input on it, if you like. One thing I will say is the gearbox on the GSXR is nicer. I do prefer the gearbox on the Gixxer. It is just more obvious, if that makes sense. The gears click in, you know they've clicked in. That is a lot more obvious, so I prefer the gearbox on the GSXR. Also, the R6 doesn't have a gear indicator, and I like having a gear indicator, so the GSXR I think is better in that respect. And I also prefer the little digital screen all being one side on the GSXR, because the R6 is split onto two sides, so I prefer that about the Gixxer. But yeah, other than that, it's all personal preference, guys, so take each one out and see what you think. So yeah, thanks for watching me rattle on a load of crap again, and I hope it's been useful for you. If you've enjoyed the video, then give me a like and a comment and go subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.